So as of right now, these are the sentimental items I keep for memories and just because they mean a lot to me. Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Today let's talk about sentimental items once again. I have already made some videos about it. I link them up here in a playlist, but today I want to give you 5 practical tips on how to deal with sentimental items and also share what I keep and why I keep these things. So let's get started with the most important thing, which is sentimental items are highly personal. I've said that in the videos before, I think, and I think it's just very important. Nobody can tell you what the sentimental items are that you should keep for your life. You have to figure out that for yourself. It is very important that you take time because sentimental items are really the only things that we can never get back if we declutter them. And even though some people have a lot of things and it really weighs them down, having so much things from the past, I think it's a good decision to move slowly and carefully and really, get to know yourself better in realizing and thinking about which sentimental items to keep. Having that in mind, let's start with the first question when dealing with sentimental items to get an idea if you want to have that item or if you could declutter it. Do I look at this on a regular basis? Do I go through these pictures often? Do I remember I have them and take the time to actually think about my past and look at these sentimental items? That is my first question, and I think it's a very important one because it happens too often that we have our sentimental items stored somewhere in the back of our closets, in our maybe basement even, and we don't look at them. If we think I should really take some more time every now and then and look at my sentimental items, spend time with them, then I think that's a good indicator that maybe you want to change something. And that does not always have to be decluttering, but I think it's one of the options you have when dealing with not looking at sentimental items and wanting to spend more time with them, but not doing that. And so I think one thing to consider is if it's too many, because if it's too many, it feels overwhelming. You don't want to spend that time with 10,000 pictures because it's just an overwhelming task looking through them. Or maybe there are sentimental items that don't spark joy but that have bad feelings attached to them, or there are sentimental items that feel like you need to do something with them still and you're not it's not okay like they are. There can be different reasons, but I think asking the questions of am I looking at these things enough or I want to, can really help us understand if we are happy with our sentimental items or if we want to change something in that category. The next question is, how would I feel if these things get lost? And I think this question can really give us an answer to if they are really sentimental, because if it's then they would be gone, I wouldn't mind, then maybe they are not that important. But if you feel oh my God, that is, I could not live without these things, then maybe, of course, again, think about your relationship with the things. Think about if you can make them even safer, digitizing them in some kind for if it really would get lost. And I think it's also really interesting to see that can maybe be different depending on the item. So for some items it would be, I don't know, then maybe that's a reason to maybe let go of them if they're not important to you. And for other things, it's oh yes, that's very important to me. And then I think you can consider moving it somewhere where you can see it each day, or just doing something with that item that you can enjoy it even more. If it's that important to you, if it's an important part of your life that you wouldn't want to miss, then make sure you can really enjoy it. The third question is the form, is the way I have this item the best one for me and my current life? Which means maybe I do have so many pictures, but I could all digitize them and would even enjoy them more in a digital picture frame as a changing background of my computer, have them on a hard drive because they are safer, upload them somewhere so friends and family can enjoy them as well. So is the current state it is in the best? And also if you want to keep it in physical form, maybe it's also a good idea to still take a picture of it to secure it, as I mentioned in another question before. And so I think it's really an important thing to think about Because sometimes we realize that it doesn't make sense to keep something in physical form, or it does make sense, but we want to have a backup or somehow secure it a bit more, or that it's just not about the physical item at all, but that a picture of it really also sparks the memory, and that we don't need to keep a huge mountain of stuffed animals if a picture of them can do the same for us. But again, that's super personal, so you have to decide what feels best for you and your life. And then the fourth question is, what kind of emotions or what kind of feelings, pictures do these items transport and spark in you? If these feelings are there because of the items, or if you can have them even without the items, if it's just like a physical thing you don't actually need because you have the memories in your head and you really don't need these items to spark them. Or if the item actually has something on its own, can do something for you then the memory itself cannot do. That is the reason, I'm gonna go into that more later, I kept some of my childhood like drawings because I wanted to like actually have the physical thing, to touch it, to feel it, to see how I like my hand 20 years ago made these strokes of like crayon or whatever I used to make the picture. And I think that gives me more than just having like a digital picture of it. But you have to decide for yourself, and sometimes let's think about going on vacation, traveling around the world. Maybe you want to have these things with you, but you cannot take like all of your physical sentimental items. So it really makes sense to take pictures of them because then you can take them with you. So just think about if the physical item or if the sentimental item itself gives you emotions beyond what your memories can do or what a picture of it can do. And I think here it's very important that most of us don't need that many sentimental items to have memories, because the memories are not in the items themselves. They can be an anchor, they can be like sparking a memory, they can be helpful, but a lot of times I think we tell ourselves we need those things, but we don't actually. And we can train our minds to remember beautiful things, or again, we can take pictures of them, but for a lot of sentimental items, they are not necessary. But of course, you have to decide that for yourself, because some are maybe necessary or feel necessary, or you really want to keep them and they can do something beyond like what a picture of them could do for you. But I think that's just something to think about, that we cannot, like, we are humans, we are complete like we are. We don't need all of that stuff to be in touch with our past. And so I think that's just something to keep in mind, and to really find your own truth and your own relationship to your things and your past, also moving forward, because you cannot accumulate a huge mountain of sentimental items each year, because then when you're 100 years old, you have like 100 mountains of things. And I don't really think that so many things can be that meaningful that it's worth keeping them as sentimental items. But I think everybody has just to find a solution there for himself or herself, because that goes deep and can be very complicated. And then the fifth thing is, how do these things make me feel? Is it a good feeling? And now with good feeling, I really don't mean only happy feelings. I don't think that the only important memories and the only important sentimental items maybe are those that remind us of happy and joyful memories. They can also be things that remind us of important things, of sad things, of just things that have a lot to do with our past that we think are important for ourselves. And so I think we should think about what kind of emotions they spark, but we should not categorize them in good and bad, but in I want to have that for myself and for my future, and this is not helpful to me for my future. Maybe sometimes we were bullied in school and we really don't need these memories. We don't need a yearbook or something like that, depending on where you're from. You have a yearbook, or you have like a school sweater or something like that, maybe as sentimental items. And I think it's absolutely okay to declutter these things if they spark memories that we don't need, that are not helpful. And maybe we can think about our kids, if we have children already, if we have something that would be really meaningful to them. And there I really suggest, and that's what I do with my son, maybe it's interesting to you, I do keep quite a few things for him. because he will come to a point when he's maybe 16, maybe 18, maybe 25, when he will have another he will have another view on his childhood. And so I want to allow him to have a few things to choose from what he wants to keep as sentimental items. But I think if you're an adult, if you have sentimental items you've kept for so many years and you really don't think that they are going to be helpful for you and to you moving forward, I think it's absolutely okay to let these go, even if they feel like you should keep them or somebody else says you should keep them or things like that. So now let's move on to the sentimental items I keep, and I'm gonna show you what I have and what has changed during the past year, what I've decluttered, why I decluttered these things, and yeah, how I handle it. So let's maybe get started with this. This is like the biggest thing from the size, and this here on the outside, which keeps all of these paper things together, is actually something I made as a kid. Like I think it was 4 or 5 years old. We had a watercolor painting, and I think I really just like the color, and like that it also has a function. I really don't need to keep it in this form. I can like just use it as a cover, which makes it beautiful, and that's actually one of my sentimental items already. So in here I just have a few drawings I made, and also I have a few drawings my son made for me. So he made a lot of things for my birthday, for Christmas and things like that. Maybe let me show you a few things that I have made as a small kid. Like this is one of my first drawings I made, and it's a fire. I think you can clearly see, and I think it's amazing to see what I did as a very small kid. But then in contrast to that, when I was older, I made this lion, and I think this really illustrates how much time I spent learning how to do things like that and actually making this one thing. I think it turned out really nice, and I want to keep that because it doesn't take up a lot of space. But these are just a few of the paintings I made, and most of them I decluttered. But with that said, during the last year I digitized all of my, like not all of them at all, but like the few I kept. Like I had a stash this big maybe of paper I kept, and I took pictures of all of these things and digitized them to just have them for informative reasons, mostly because I don't have them here, but I have them on a hard drive to look at them if I feel like it, to see what I've made as a kid, what I thought about, what I felt the world looks like. So I do have more sentimental items when it comes to pictures I was drawing as a kid, but not in physical form anymore. Then I still have some journals I kept, and I had a whole stash, but I decluttered most of them, and I just kept the most meaningful. Like these are journals where I documented important times, where I didn't just write down what I did during the day, what kind of homework I had and things like that. And also these are journals I can read in, because some of them I wrote in a way that I can't really read anymore, and I decluttered those. But I kept, like, this is a bigger one. I also have some loose paper in the front here with some things I kept from other journals. And this is one I mostly used during like a summer holiday that was really meaningful in my life. And this is the one I'm still currently writing in. I've talked about that in videos before, but that has been my journal for the past, I think, 8 years now. And over 8 years, 8.5 years. And I had very long breaks where I didn't write anything down, but now I have the habit of like just writing something down once a month. And I just keep track of my thoughts, my dreams, where this YouTube channel is at, for example, just to see how I felt, what the problems were that I was facing, because that's the amazing thing. When you grow, when you learn new things, you realize how far you can come. And I think I'm gonna keep that. That's actually the only thing that I'm gonna now add to my sentimental items, because most of these things are like many years old, and there haven't been any items that I added to my sentimental items in recent years, just because the pictures I take are digital already, and there are not really any other physical items that I want to keep as sentimental items. But this one is one that I will keep because there are just so many years of dreams and plans and struggles in here. And I'm gonna like start a new journal. I don't know yet if I'm gonna start another physical journal or a digital journal after this one, but I'm gonna fill it up and then I'm gonna add it to the pile of my sentimental items. Now it is a sentimental item already because yeah, there are a lot of things from the past in here, but it's not done. Like I'm still writing in it. And then I have this onesie my son wore when he was just like a tiny little baby, and I kept it just to remember how small he was, and because my grandma made it for me, and just this is meaningful to me. That's the only thing that is not like paper, which is a bit weird that I tend to only keep paper things as sentimental items, but that is the way it works for me, and these are the things that spark sentimental feelings and that I want to keep. So this is how it is for me. It can of course be totally different for you. And in here, this is another thing that I made as a kid. This was a crayon painting, drawing thing I made as maybe 4 or 5 year old. And I kept it again to store in here some photos. Like in here I have here's my family on there, so I'm not gonna show you, but I can show you one of only me. So this is me as a 2-year-old. But these are all the photos I kept in in physical form. I did again digitize all the photos I wanted to keep. And so I have them on my hard drive next to the pictures I made, like the drawings and paintings I made as a kid. And I also have some letters in here, some, just a few other things that I have. So these are the sentimental items I do keep in physical form. And as I said, I do have a hard drive with all of the drawings and digitized pictures, with all of the pictures from the recent year. Recent meaning I made only digital pictures from 2006 on. So all of these sentimental items are actually on my hard drive, on one hard drive. Like I have one hard drive for my personal things, and there I have all of these pictures on, and then I have a business hard drive and a backup hard drive. And I do have to say, a lot has changed during the past year. I have now a lot less, but I haven't actually decluttered so many things because I've mostly decluttered the things that I digitized and didn't think I needed to keep in paper form after that. And I think really everybody has to decide for themselves. But what I love about it is that now all of my sentimental items just take up this space. And before that, like about 2 years ago, they took up the same space that my clothes take up. And with clothes, I mean like my ski pants and all of my sweaters, all of my accessories, like everything that I own, because all of these things fit into one drawer of an IKEA dresser. And so it just felt weird that my past took up the same amount of space my present does. And that is weird, yes, but I'm a lot more happy this way, where I have a very limited amount of physical sentimental items. And we'll see, maybe I'll do another update video in a year, and then you can see if something has changed. And I do think it's okay if something changes, it's okay if it's getting less, it's also okay if it's getting more. So I really do think it's something very personal, and you have to decide if you want to keep sentimental items at all, if you want to keep some of them, if you want to keep a lot of them, if you want to digitize them, or if you want to have them in physical form. And I would be really interested in your thoughts on this topic down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos, I'm going to link you a video and a playlist right here that you can check out if you have time and if you want to. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, that would really help my channel. So I have everything said that I wanted to say in today's video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!